Welcome, people of the World Wide Web. So it's Wednesday, so it's another look what I am watching and what I've been watching. I've been watching quite a lot, so we've got all these for you this week. There we go. So let's not beat around the bush and let's get into it. I'll try and go through in the order I more or less watched them in, so I can remember. So the first one is The Last Night in Soho. So this is by Edgar Wright, of Kick-Ass fame. Apologies. What is it? Movies he's done? Oh, I can't. Oh, it's the Cornetto trilogy, and obviously it's not obvious, but Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Those are the ones I really like of his. I wasn't too big fan. I think on Baby Driver he did. But anyway, so this is the Last Soho. So I saw the trailer. It's kind of seen as a thrillery bit. The trailer is a little bit misleading, which gives you. But I bought this because I was quite I was going to watch it, and then I kind of missed it on some of the streaming sites when it had initially come out. So I thought I'd get this. I do quite like some of the cast. And what is this all about? So this is about this main character here. She unfortunately has her mum has had mental issues and kills herself, and then very early on she kind of sees her mum. So you're getting on she's not necessarily all there in the head for whatever reason. But she's wants to be a designer, so she gets a scholarship, a university place in London. So she moves to London from Cornwall. And it is here that unfortunately, as with most people growing up, because she's not part of the popular crowd, the people start picking on her and stuff when she's in the halls. So she decides that she doesn't want to be in the halls anymore, finds a room to rent, and then every time she goes to bed in this room, she kind of fantasizes about being this lady here, who lived like 40, 50 years ago, and she lived in Soho and worked her job, wanted to be a singer, and stuff didn't go to her plan. And there's all twists and turns and stuff. And it was quite a good film. It's not necessarily where I thought it would go, and there are a few twists and turns which were quite good. They're one of those ones that you realise it like a few seconds before it's actually going to happen. But it wasn't too bad on the grand scheme. You know, I said initially I wasn't. Initially, when I very first saw that this was there in the theatres, I wasn't too impressed, and over time I started to get intrigued about it, and then so I really liked it. So that's The Last Night in Soho. So next from last week, as you follow, so I did watch Teen Wolf with my wife. So we watched Teen Wolf 2, or I watched it because my wife didn't want to watch it after she wasn't too impressed with the first one, and God, yeah, the second one, Jason Bateman, it's his first film. You can tell that obviously Michael J. Fox didn't want to return. They've tried to shoehorn and try and do the same kind of format, but with his cousin. And I like the fact there were links. There was his dad, Scott's dad from the first one, and one of his mates on the basketball team returned for this one. But apart from that, it's all new. It's very stereotypical. It's the love interest and follows more or less a very, very, very similar plot to the first one about his will powers and misusing them and stuff. And just didn't work for me. Obviously, he went on to a lot more bigger things, so it worked well. But yeah, so that was Teen Wolf 2. The next one, so my somebody I work with dropped off a load of DVDs a while back, and there was some that we didn't have in here, so it was this one. So my wife wanted to watch this at Nims Island, obviously. Big fan of Gerard Butler, Jodie Foster there, and the girl from Zombieland, Abigail Breslin. So yeah, this is basically about a scientist and his daughter live on an island, and he researches into plankton and stuff like this. This island is kind of theirs. He does National Geographic and stuff, but he just stays off the grid because he wants to research and doesn't want other people to interfere. His daughter is an avid fan of a book series, and it ends up turning out that Jodie Foster plays the author of the book series, who is struggling to write her new book. She comes across an article of the dad and sees that he's on an island and wants to get a bit of inspiration, and then as she starts emailing them, a kind of relationship happens and stuff, and it's very kids type film. Think of like Jumanji, Zathura, and Journey 2, and stuff like that. That's very much it's all right. It's you turn your brain off, enjoy it. There's silly stuff for kids and that, but yeah, it was all right. My wife really liked it, so Then we have the next one, The Secret in Their Eyes. So this is a kind of cop thriller. So it stars around Nicole Kidman, who is a lawyer. Chidwell, I can't pronounce his name. So this guy and Julia Roberts, they are basically detectives. And 13 years ago, they go to a crime, or they're basically for counter-terrorism. There is a body dumped outside a mosque. They go to it, and it turns out it's Julia Roberts' daughter. After that 13 years, this man goes away and tries to find the person that did it. He believes he's come across the killer who they're looking for, who they suspect it was. And then the story goes, it's kind of them in modern day, 13 years later, him coming, because he leaves the department, he comes back, these two are still here, and he's trying to pin a case on the person he thinks he's found after 13 years of them going kind of into hiding. So the story plays out in like modern day, but then you have flashbacks to what happened after her daughter was found at the same time, so it builds up to a story. And there's a little bit of a twist that happens at the end. It's quite good. It's it's the twist I didn't see coming, which is always a good thing, I think, because I watch a lot of films. I always like to be surprised. It wanes a little bit. I would give that. It kind of, because you don't really know what's going on, it flickers to and fro. And apart from like this guy has a bit of grey hair, and some of the characters have, like, one of them, Bumpy, has a limp in the future, but it doesn't. When you see those roles, you know who it is. But because there's not too much done to make him look younger, it gets a little confusing at times. But for the most part, I think it was 2 hours, give or take. I think it was 1 hour 42. Okay, so not even. So yeah, it keeps enough. It is, I think it was a few quid, maybe £1.50 that I bought this for. So it wasn't too bad. And then final, so the past few weeks I've been doing a kind of spotlight one. I don't have a spotlight one because I'm all over the fence. This was potentially going to be it, but not. So as you've seen in some of my old videos, I have a scratch list where 100 top movies, and this is on it. So this is 91 of 100. So I have 4 more to watch that I have, and I have 5 more to buy, and then I've done the set, and then I'll do a video recapping everything and my favourites. So what did I think? So this is Alfred Hitchcock. So Alfred Hitchcock is known to be a little bit out there and stuff like that. This is quite a panned, even though it's in the top 100, when you read the reviews and we read, a lot of people pan it and stuff, and I didn't think that was necessarily warranted. So they believe that the main actor, who is from It's a Wonderful Life, he was too old to play, because he's kind of the main actor. He's like in his late 40s, maybe 50s, and then the lead woman over there, she's like 26, so there's a big age gap and stuff. She was supposedly quite difficult as well and had issues with pain and stuff, and it caused a lot of problems, and there's a lot of issues that people have said, even though it's well renowned. So for the most part, I did really like this. So the premise is of this guy, he is a detective or a cop. He's chasing down a criminal on a rooftop with a policeman. He falls and grabs hold of a ledge as a policeman tries to help him up. He falls to his death. This traumatic event causes him to get vertigo, which is the type of scene of vertigo is basically where you look down from a height and you kind of lose your balance a little bit and kind of get fear, sweat and stuff like that. So because he then has this condition, he can't become a police officer, so he retires. Now his best friend approaches him and says, like, I'm just about to get married, or he is married, and his wife's been acting strange of late, and I don't know what's going on. I followed her and it seems a bit strange. Can you come out of retirement and help me? I understand that, you have vertigo and stuff, but it shouldn't be a matter because he just drives around. I just want you to drive around, blah, blah. So he hires him, so he goes, so he starts following this person's wife, and she drives to this place, looks at a painting, which is of a relative of hers and stuff, and she starts like phasing out for hours, and it's all a little weird, and you're a bit like, oh, I don't know what's going on. And then kind of due to a set of circumstances, they kind of interact with each other unbeknownst to her. He basically starts kind of becoming her friend, a confidant, and then they kind of have a romantic link. Obviously this is a bit of conflicting because obviously she is married to his friend. Then when they go to see this church, unfortunately there is a shocking event that happens. Due to his vertigo, he's not able to stop it. and thus it is believed that she dies and it's kind of his fault. His friend blames him. And then as the story goes, he goes to a hospital, is kind of traumatized again, and then over time he recovers, he goes out into the world and comes across a woman who looks very similar to this lady. But obviously this person's wife is dead, and then he starts to meet her and try and turn her into exactly what the old lady was. And then a few things come out of the woodwork during this story, and a few other twists and turns. And I say it is quite good. It leads up to the stereotypical Alfred Hitchcock ending, which is never a happy ending. And this is where I kind of would have liked a happy ending. It was a bit of a kind of shock factor, you know, for the back in the day, because it's quite, I think, 50s. This was originally made, 58. So it's quite an old film. And I say, if it had a better ending, I probably would have really raved about this. But for the most part, it was a really good film. And I'm coming to learn the fact that, you know, sometimes a film not having a happy ending isn't a bad film. It's just good storytelling. And yeah, so that was Alfred Hitchcock Vertigo, obviously not in one of my 100 lists. So that has everything I have been watching this week. I did watch a few Netflix series, but I'm not going to get into them. I've been Cypher Sigma Screen Time. Hope you enjoyed everything I've watched. Have you seen any of these? Please do put your comments. Did you like them? Do you disagree with them? You know, maybe is there something that I've watched there that I should watch that's related to it, or you think? Please do put that in the comments as well. Otherwise, like, comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with the same video next Wednesday. Otherwise, I've been Cypher Sigma, and I'll see you in the next one.